or CPCT, as the cool kids call it, they're doing. It's an improvised musical of The Love Boat, right?
Yes, it
and
is.
so we have Nelson and Marc. You guys want to introduce yourselves? It's Nelson Velazquez.
Yeah, Nelson Velazquez. I'm the director for Love Boat, the improvised musical.
Yes,
And Marc Ryser. I'm a cast member.
And he's a cast member, but you also just worked on the set for Wizard of Oz over at Memorial, right?
I've done that too. I'm Crown Point Community Theater's vice president and tech director.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of the.
So you get
other
called
stuff,
in,
too.
like emergency
He
calls,
lives
like
there.
NIPSCO? Yeah.
Frequently, yes.
Yeah, for other theaters throughout the region.
Actually, Wizard of Oz is the first time I've done anything with anybody else.
Oh.
I'm really looking forward to
He
seeing
lives
it.
out of his car.
He lives out of
He's
his
on
car,
call.
yes.
He's just on call.
He's a teacher that lives out of his car. Yes.
That's
yes.
never been heard of.
That's never been heard of, actually, yeah. So, how did this show come to be? Because when we were talking, I think, with Matt Valukas months and months ago, and we were talking about what an ambitious season CPCT has this year. And it's almost like you guys are doing a show a month, because didn't you just finished Trial by Jury, which was your courthouse production, and now, last weekend you opened the Love Boat musical.
Right.
And Marc, you're also in Makeshift Up, right?
Correct.
Yes. So that's and Nelson is
that
as
runs
well.
constantly.
And that runs constantly.
Right.
So you have Makeshift Up. And I got to make sure I pronounce that
make
correctly.
that F is.
Yes,
make sure that's in there.
Make sure that's in
paramount.
the T. Makeshift Up. But that's the house improv group at CPCT, and you guys are. I think you had a show like in the in-between week, or like just prior to Trial by Jury. I think like on the 16th or something like that. You guys had that, and then the very following week, Trial by Jury was going on at Crown Point Courthouse.
Right.
So. You guys are busy all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, Love Boat came out of an endeavor many years ago. I was doing improv in Chicago. A friend of mine, Anne-Marie Irie, we were pitching show ideas, and she said, "Hey, why don't we do a show based on Love Boat?" Mm-hmm. But she didn't really have the full-fledged idea as to how to bring it to stage.
Right. Well, I mean, that was a big thing, like late 80s, early 90s in Chicago. You had improv groups, and if you weren't part of Second City or part of their class training, there were groups all over Chicago doing. I remember Cast on a Hot Tin Roof, and so it was an improvised show based on all the characters of a Tennessee Williams play, and then I think there was like a Sam Shepard. Buried Baby, where they basically improvised a Sam Shepard show for you.
There's improvised Jane Austen, there's improvised Star Trek, Star Wars, there's improvised James Bond now. I mean, so we had that idea, and at the time, our group was not in a position for it to produce it. But the idea was so great because of the wonderful Aaron Spelling.
Yes.
The mastermind behind many of the greatest shows.
Fantasy Island, Melrose Place.
Yeah, like he was a genius when it came to putting together shows that I held on to that nugget for years.
Yeah.
And then when we started the improv program at CPCT, one of my goals was to bring in programming that would allow us to explore
kind of work with what you were working
short
on.
form, not only just short form with Makeshift Up, but also look at long form pieces as well. And Love Boat, because of the demographics that are in this area, seemed like a natural fit.
Right.
So that's why I pitched it, and luckily they were more than generous to give us the time to put it together. And we started 6 months ago to put this thing together. Mm-hmm. We took a group of...
So it's been kind of a gradual process.
Yeah.
And for people who are familiar, Nelson, with long-form improv, is we've had the guys from Disposable Theater on here, too, and they do, they have their DT3 subdivision that does long-form, and then most improv groups, like at least the one I had back in the 80s, we did short form. Mm-hmm. So we were doing games, sort of like you'd see
Whose
on
Line Is It Anyway?
Whose Line Is It Anyway? Yeah. So a long form is actually, it's a more developed piece that follows a theme. And so that's how this all came about, was creating a Love Boat long form improv that could kind of flow and ebb while still following the theme of Love Boat.
Exactly.
And then whatever the audience would suggest to kind of throw into it, then it gets incorporated. So every show is completely different.
Yeah, every show is completely different. The music, the lyrics, the scene work, the choreography, the sound effects, the lighting, everything is absolutely improvised from the very beginning. So,
and you have the great Dan Pritchett.
We have Dan Pritchett, man,
who is doing the music for this.
He's our secret weapon.
Yes, he is, and he has been. I mean, I know he retired recently from the Valpo High School, but he's a legend here in Valparaiso.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
and he's pulled our bacon out of the fire several times going, oh yeah, I know what you're trying to do, and he starts to do something on the piano, and it's like, oh yeah, now I know what I'm supposed to do too.
Oh yeah.
He's basically, along with Angie Hyde on the tech booth, he's another improviser along with us. He's there right with us as we're trying to put together this show and tell them. Well, not really. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say, as we're trying to follow these storylines that we establish at the very top of the show, and so we follow the recipe that Aaron Spelling, again, the great Aaron Spelling, put together. That's right. I expect every time I say it, I get a little bit of a residual.
Like a fanfare. Yes.
I get a residual.
We have a hotel bell over there if you want to hit that. Yeah.
But we followed the formula that every episode of Love Boat does.
Yeah.
You meet all the couples at the very top of the show. They have some issue that you find out at the very beginning of the show. That something's going on between them. And
they're going on the cruise to save their marriage. Or they're getting a divorce because he's a cheater.
And then we follow those through lines, watching them figure out what's going on in their relationships, as well as interacting with the crew.
Yeah.
And all of our actors are doubling up as both crew members and as passengers.
Yeah.
So, you never know when Charo might show up.
Right.
You never know when Justin Bieber might show up.
Right.
We had Mary Poppins show up on
I know. Well, see, the beauty of the Love Boat show in the 70s was it was a catch-all for any actor who was between gigs.
Right.
So, they canceled Welcome Back, Kotter. Oh, look, it's Robert Hedges is the guest on here.
Robert Guillaume needs a job.
Yeah.
Let's put him on Love Boat right now.
Yeah. People aren't digging soap right now, so it might be a while before he gets Benson as his regular gig. So we're just going to put Robert Guillaume on. Stuart Whitman, he's just always sitting in the trailer, ready to come on Fantasy Island or the Love Boat, wherever we need him. It's like out of work actor central is what the Love Boat was.
I would have been on that show. I would have been on that show as much as Charo if that was the case.
Yes.
For out of work actors, but we follow them all the way through, and then at the very end we find out, did they stay together? Did they fall apart? Did they meet new people? What happened with the crew? Did the boat make it to the destination they were supposed to go to? So we find all that stuff.
So how do the songs come about in this? Are there like set pieces that kind of emerge, or you just make them up on the spot?
We have no set pieces.
Yeah.
The only thing that we know is that when we walk out there, each of us has a crew member and a passenger. That's the only thing we know. Everything comes from audience suggestion.
Okay.
So near the top of the show, we'll go out and say, "Hey, my character has a job. What job is it?" And that suggestion will inform that character's development through the rest of the show.
So is it set up where you guys come out with a pad at the beginning, and then it's kind of like a mnemonic device in the back?
Nope. No, we are expected to remember and to listen and to support each other and all of the things that Nelson has taught us throughout our improv training.
This is real. Like, this is the show you would go see at a Improv Olympic or a Second City. I mean, we're doing the same exact things that they're doing in the big city, but we're doing it with the fantastic
But like Julia
local talent.
Weiss, who did a year ago, we did Tammy, a coming of age story about a girl who's part T-Rex. She, for a long time, she's been with various, traveling Improv Olympic crews, but for a long time she did the Star Trek improvised, show that they would offer. At Skybox or, some of those other places in Chicago. So this is an opportunity for people in this region.
Right.
Save the parking in Chicago, save the expensive meal that you'd have to have, and go over to Crown Point Community Theater. And you guys have a beautiful new awning. The renovations you guys have just done to the space, is that you, Marc?
I'm on the board, so I would say it's us.
You helped it make it happen. Then.
We've done a tremendous amount of physical change in the theater over the last year or so.
Right.
We have built a new lobby space. Prior to that, it was a curtain.
Yeah.
So just the thrill of being able to open a door and say, "Come into the theater," is a great thing.
To have it as a separate space.
We actually just got signs put up this week.
Yeah.
We've been in the space for 5 years, but now we have lighted signs so people will be able to find us when they drive by.
Right.
We've been working on our electrical grid. That's something that nobody in the audience will know anything about, but I know.
But that's very valuable coming from a theater that has a pretty extensive lighting system.
Yeah, it's going to make production values in our theater much more simple and
for people who have never been there before, the location of the theater is where, Marc?
It's 1125 Maryville Road.
Maryville Road.
It's behind the Jewel on Main or Taft Road, depending on how you know it.
And look for the guy in the trench coat.
Look for the guy in the trench coat. Yes, he will be selling tamales.
Come this way.
Yes, that's me. So 1125 Maryville Road in Crown Point, and you will see the signs now, so you will definitely be able to find us. And we got that going on, and we got a bunch of other stuff we wanted to talk about too.
Yes.
So you brought Makeshift Up. You brought Makeshift Up, yeah?
Yes.
So Makeshift Up is our house team. We'll be doing some benefit shows around the place. So you want to go check out Makeshift Up and see what the short
and they have their own they have their own Facebook page.
No, actually, it's all CPCT.
It's all at
branded.
CPCT. Okay. Yeah.
So if you can go on Facebook and look up Crown Point Community Theater, or you can go to our website at cpct.biz to see what dates Makeshift Up is going to be playing. We've also got a production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I never say it right. Ever.
One flew east, one flew west, one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Lots of flying cuckoo's nests. No, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We have a production of that going up in March, and that opens up March 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 weeks after we close.
2 weeks after you close, yeah.
Marc is going to be absolutely insane with trying to convert our current set to this new set.
Right.
So if you want to volunteer, because we're all volunteers, come in on a Saturday and join us, and we'll have some fun and get some pizza and start building an insane asylum.
Well, that's what people don't understand. I mean, my show closes this weekend, and then as soon as it closes, like 3 weeks later, Nancy Drew Girl Detective it opens at Chicago Street. So we're just, all the theaters in this region, we just had Bonnie on, constantly have shows turning around. It's usually within 3 to 4, and sometimes as long as 6 weeks between shows. But that's usually the longest.
6 weeks would be an incredible luxury.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. Well, yeah. My show I think had 3+ tech. So it's 4 weeks between turning around from the holiday shows to doing the show that I'm currently.
Yeah, scheduling right now has been insane because we do have Love Boat, we do have Makeshift Up. Love Boat luckily has the luxury of not needing a full set all the time, has the luxury of not needing props and all that stuff, as well as Makeshift Up. But we've also had classes going on.
Right.
So we have a Teen Prof class going on right now. We've been doing Improv Fundamentals for adults as well. And now we've got a general acting class
going on
for just regular scripted productions. So
we have a children's acting class.
Yeah, children's.
As well.
Yeah, so that space is constantly being used. So we have a taskmaster with the calendar,
right? And
it's literally you've got 2 weeks to turn this around. And by the way, you can't affect everything. It's what's going on?
No, I feel you. Sorry, our building's the same way, and we have the luxury of an upstairs studio, so it's we constantly have all of that same stuff going on.
So so it's just insane, and with Makeshift Up and with Love Boat, we're looking at going. We're taking them to other theaters, and we're actually looking at. We've been invited to go play in Chicago at the Revival Theater.
Nice.
Which is in Hyde Park.
I know. Way back when we were trying to work out a date for you guys to come to our studio, it's just we've been so crazy.
Yeah, you've been slammed.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at going to Indianapolis pretty soon too. So so the improv thing is a vital part of what we're doing, and we're looking at expanding the improv to become not only an art form within itself to showcase, but also providing that as an engine for scripted material that's original.
Right.
And so we're following kind of that Second City vibe of like we should be seeing
using it to develop material.
New stuff.
Right.
And so it's really exciting.
And that'll be really exciting because then that can be a niche that that CPCT can kind of fall into. And I think it's important that each of the theater groups kind of stands out in their way. You know, whether it's offering like the V-Day celebration like Beatniks has done for their 8 years, or if it's creating original material that's developed out of improvised thing, which could be a big thing with.
Well, we will have a lot of
CPCT.
improvised vaginas going on at some point.
Yes.
So I figured I'd throw that in there somewhere.
Yes, we're now at 45 vaginas.
Thank you.
Said
Thank
this
you,
show.
yes.
Thank you.
No, but in all seriousness, like a show like the Vagina Monologues, or any of these kind of.
Well, that's how they develop a lot of theater
it's how
this
they do
day.
it.
It's
That's how they do it.
workshopped.
Yeah.
It's workshopped, and then it's developed into a scripted piece.
Right.
And I think that's. I mean, they just opened the Harold Ramis School for Film in Chicago. And he was one of the great ones that came out of Second City. He passed away. I think it was last year. And
last year already? Wow.
Yeah.
Feels
like
like
only
it's longer.
February, so that's only a couple of months ago.
It feels like it was longer. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was. Yeah, I think it was last year sometime that Harold Ramis passed away, and now there's a school devoted to making comedy movies.
Yeah.
Because that was that's where Tina Fey and that's where the Bill Murrays and all of those guys emerged out of that. As writers and performers. So that's it's exciting for CPCT that you guys are kind of going in that route. So you have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest opening March 4th, and then what's after that for CPCT?
We have just cast Happily Ever Once Upon.
Yes, which is
it's the second part of the Cinderella story.
It's like the fractured fairy tales.
Yep.
And,
Very much
like
in that
Peabody
vein.
and Sherman.
Cinderella has married Prince Charming, who is now King Charming, and everything should be wonderful and happily ever after. But
not so much.
The kingdom's going broke because the fairy godmother is blackmailing Cinderella.
Oh, wow.
And so the story revolves around that resolution. But you're going to see Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, and Goldilocks. So kids are going to recognize it, but it's also similar to Shrek in that it's full of adult, not situations, but kind the adults are going to find it
little
amusing
nods
too.
Yes.
So it's what we always strive to put a couple of family-friendly shows into a season, and because again niches.
Yeah.
We think we are a part of our community. We believe our community is important, and we want all of our community.
Well,
to be
I think
able to
that's with the ambitious season you have, or you look at Chicago Street, or you look at the Opera House. I think we're trying to offer this diverse groupings of shows that appeal to bigger audiences because it serves the community better when we're able to provide a lot of different kinds
diversity,
of material.
Right. Diversity is definitely important.
Yeah. So Happily Ever Once Upon, and that'll open in April.
Honestly, I don't know that for
April
sure.
or May?
April, I think.
Check the website.
Just past that. We haven't even had our first rehearsal yet.
CPCT.biz, and then also make a reservation to get on that Love Boat because that is sailing through the 21st
Through the 20th.
20th.
Fridays and Saturdays only. At 8 o'clock at CPCT.biz. Tickets are $15, $12 for students, military, and seniors.
And you can go back and see it multiple times because you get a different show every
it's
time.
a different show every single time.
And was Doc like the biggest player ever on the Love Boat?
He had a little bit of game.
Doc or Isaac?
He had some game.
I think Doc was a bigger player. I think he only became a doctor so he could play doctor. Well,
he never actually healed anybody on the boat.
Never. No.
Not really.
Yeah.
Except ladies who needed, extra attention for whatever reason.
I think you need a gynecological exam. Otherwise, the ship isn't going to be able to pull out of the harbor.
And there's a laugh track.
Yeah, we do this all without a laugh track. So.
Yeah.
We need an audience. Come and laugh.
Yes, please come laugh amply and see Love Boat, the improvised musical. It is running through the 20th at Crown Point Community Theater over in Crown Point on Maryville Road, behind the Jewel. All right, go check it out. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Marc, for coming in, and I'm gonna ramble.